This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Star in 3/4, but I do want to talk about Dustin because Meltzer clearly takes issue with everything Dusty touches, including Dustin. That made 4 people that Dustin had single-handedly beaten on this show. I got to tell you, as a kid watching at the time, I didn't think that Dustin was overpushed, but when I did get to sit down with Mr. Hurd, he couldn't help but talk about it where, and Dusty had to be pulled back. He was trying to push that kid of his to the moon, and he's a great kid, but Dusty hurt him by pushing him so hard. What say you?
I can see that. It could have brought him along a little easier, a little slower, more deliberately, where it meant more. Certainly the kid was at the kid then. He's 50 now, for God's sakes. He's better than 98% of the people I see working on TV every week is Dustin. There's the same thing could be said for Cowboy's son, Eric. He should have been in a territory, hidden somewhere, working in developmental of some sort. And instead he's on one of the longest running television shows in the genre's history on the Saturday Night TBS Wrestling. Too much too soon. But that's what you are. Promoters do that. Look at all the promoters that push their sons. And some of them worked out well and some of them didn't. Jeff and Jerry, it worked out okay because Jeff's a good hand. And he got on TV when he was more ready than a lot of these cats. But there's a bunch of them, like the Von Erichs kind of worked out okay, aside from the personal tragedies. But this was not good. And I don't think Dustin was ever totally happy anyway there in that era. I think he had his best days as Goldust. He owned that character. He made it his. He couldn't everything else was in his dad's image.
Yeah.
And he was a defiant young male that thought he knew what he was supposed to do. So I saw more creative happiness in Dustin when he was a Goldust and refining and getting that Goldust character together than at any other time. By the way, he's also training kids.
Yes, he is.
Or outside of Austin. He's got a school down there, and it's from what I'm told, it's done really well.
It is.
And so that's all good stuff.
RhodesWrestlingAcademy.com is where you can find out more about it.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of great young talent coming up there. I know he's really motivated, active, engaged. If he's excited about it, it's going to work. So this is going to work. So check it out. RhodesWrestlingAcademy.com. Great friend of the show.
I'm sure that we will see some of those young men and women in Austin.
Yes, I'm sure.
Hope they got a ticket. If they don't have a ticket, they should call Conrad.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
He can do it.
You ever hear some of my commercials and think to yourself, that sounds too good to be true. That's probably malarkey. Here's the deal, man. It's real.
My favorite podcast is the What Happened When with Tony Schiavone. I've been a fan of wrestling, especially WCW, the old stuff since like 84. But, I listen to the ads all the time, and we came into a situation where we could actually use to do a refinance. We're going to spend about $30 more a month on this mortgage. We got into a 25-year instead of a 30-year mortgage, so we basically saved 3 years worth of time on our mortgage. So that's $100,000 in the long term because that's going to be 25 years out. By that time, we're going to be able to spend it on retirement. The Alabama comes through with your folks, and I really appreciate that. One of the main things I appreciate is they're not afraid to say that they might be wrong about something, which is refreshing. If anybody asks me if they need a refinance or to fund a new house, you're the guys.
We're routinely helping wrestling fans around the country, just like you, save tens of thousands of dollars. But how much can you save? Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com. let's keep going. Dustin Rhodes is going to team up with the Young Pistols, who you and I have both admittedly love, Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers.
Yep.
They're going to take on the Freebirds and Bradstreet, which is, of course, Brad Armstrong. So we got Armstrongs, we got Freebirds, we got Rhodes, we got Tracy. This is going to be a good match, but even that disappoints a little bit. It's an elimination tag match, and Meltzer says these guys should have had a great match, but it just didn't work. It was really bad early, and it's hard to understand why, given the talent involved. He ultimately gave it a 1.25 stars, but Dustin and the Young Pistols are going to get the win. What'd you think here?
It was unspectacular. I was thought it'd be better because the talents working in this match are all guys that if you had a wrestling territory, you'd embrace having in your territory. But it was just cold and disjointed, and there was no emotional attachment to it. You can't tell me that Dustin and the young Pistols couldn't have a great match with anybody.
Yeah,
and then the anybody was Hayes and Brad. Who else was on it? Jimmy Garvin.
Yeah.
You kidding me? That's what I say earlier, Conrad. Sometimes it's not a matter of effort. Or JR goes on his podcast with Conrad, and he's just knocking all the boys. I'm not knocking any of the boys. I'm knocking the fact that the office, the creative branch of this runaway train, booked him into a corner where how would they have a great match with no story leading into it, no story behind it?
Right.
It's impossible.
Well, it's weird because I think sometimes here in the South, the phrase I've heard or we use is, man, that's snake bit. This show feels snake bit, when even very talented performers who we all know can go for whatever reason. It's like when they get in the ring, it just doesn't click and nobody really knows why.
One of those nights, buddy. It's one of those nights. I was having a bad night then. I was sick. And went straight to the hospital when the show was over.
What was wrong?
I had I passed a fragmented kidney stone.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's what's, quite frankly, I think that's kind of what has led to my misspeaking of time every now and then, because I got to have some excuse. I can't just say I've made a human error. So I think that passing that kidney stone on the air was led to my early onset dementia.
I got an idea. Next time you're worried that you're going to say the wrong company or say the wrong thing, make sure you don't by slapping your leg.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'll do.
Just remind yourself.
I'll work up. If it don't work, I'll just slap my face.
Oh gosh. Can you imagine you on TV just next week on WWE Dynamite and then just immediately open? Come on. That'd be hilarious. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.